You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Christchurch International Track Meet is without doubt one of New Zealand's premier one-day domestic athletics meetings. It's one of just two events in New Zealand which holds World Athletics Continental Tour bronze status. One of the main Kiwi stars on show this year is Sam Tanner, who has already won both the New Zealand mile and 3,000 metre titles this season. Sam Tanner joins us out of our Christchurch studio. Sam, thanks for popping in for a chat. You're running the 800 metres at this meet. What's the rationale behind running lots of different distances, 3,000 metres, mile, 800, rather than just concentrating on running 1,500 metre races?
Oh, thanks for having me, mate. I don't know about that one. I have to ask the coach. He just kind of just selects random races recently.
There must be a strategy to all of this, though, particularly in Olympic year. Is this all mapped out fairly specifically for you?
Yeah. We have sat down in the start of the year and kind of discussed some of the goals. And I think one of the major things that we learnt from last year was probably how much I raced, especially in the Europe season. So this kind of domestic season is just about doing kind of my part towards the community. You know, I've paced a couple races, I've raced a couple low key, different disciplines and distances to kind of test out the fitness more than actually try to give myself a good solid effort over 1,500. And most people would know that I haven't even run a 1,500 yet, which is my main discipline. So, we're in a good spot leading into nationals.
So where does the 1,500 metre, part of all of this land? Because presumably at some point you're going to have to run it ahead of running it at the Olympic Games, right?
Yeah, yep. So I've just decided to race heaps, test out the fitness. But I guess the first big one for me, funnily enough, is not actually even a 1,500 as a mile, but that'll be in the Prefontaine Classic in end of May.
So can you just clarify for us whether you have qualified for the Paris Olympics yet?
Yep. Yes, I last season, 2023, luckily enough in Europe, I had a pretty good couple of opportunities to hit the Olympic standard, and so I think I hit it 3 or 4 times, which sets me in a good spot leading into Paris. So I've hit the standard, and all New Zealand need to do is select me, but I'm pretty much guaranteed because my points are so high. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So has that allowed you in many ways to be more flexible with what you do this year, given the fact that you already had that ticked off and you didn't have to worry about running a qualifying time in 2024?
Yeah, one of the most stressful things for me leading into Tokyo was the fact that I had to race for points and had to race heaps to get points and then to prove to New Zealand that they should select me, for the Olympics. But the luxury that I've got now was that I raced heaps last year. I kind of set myself up well, and now I've got all that flexibility.
So what do the next 5 months or so look like for you then as you head towards Paris?
Oh, mate, you wouldn't even want to know how many miles I'm going to cover over the next 5 months. I'm going through a pair of shoes every 4 weeks, trying to, crank out the Ks, and I probably run more in a week than most New Zealanders do in a year. But it incorporates a lot of mileage, with a couple of track sessions each week, just, touching on the speed and getting that speed endurance up.
So is it really just getting a lot of miles under your feet? That philosophy holds true even for a 1,500 metre race, just getting a lot of Ks under your feet?
Yeah, it changes for every athlete, but I think there's kind of a what you'd call like a bit of a baseline for what is minimally required for it to be, world class in the 1,500. And I guess that kind of means for me 100 miles or 120K up to 100 miles, 160K, per week on the feet, and then whatever that requires on speed work and endurance or whatever it is on the track.
How metronomic is it, Sam? Do you, for example, is there a maximum that you would run in a week, and if you ran any more than that, then that would be detrimental to you?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't quite reached that level yet. No. And in some ways, I think, the coach is just pushing me further and further and further, and maybe we'll hit a breaking point and then step it back. But I haven't hit that breaking point yet, so I'm hoping not to find out.
And the 800 metres, I think your PB is 1:48.35. You ran it at this meet a couple of years ago. You reckon you can give that a nudge?
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, mate, it's going to be a good opportunity. I've got a couple of Aussies and Japanese guys who are, ranked and have faster PBs than me. So they should give me a good run for my money, but it'll be a nice opportunity to get a PB.
Can you ever see yourself running 800 metres like at the Olympic Games?
I'd love to, but people say, why'd you pick the 1500? And I'm like, well, I'm too slow to do the 800. And then people say, why do you pick the 800? You know why that is? Because they're too slow to run the 400.
I'll let James Preston know that.
Yeah.
So it's 1500. That's your sweet spot.
I think so. And that's where the coaches kind of kept me, and I trust Craig to, select the right race for me. I think if I was to work on my speed, I can definitely run a really, really solid 800 meters, but I don't think, genetically I'm not going to be a 142 kind of guy, which would be what it would take often to get an Olympic medal in the 800, whereas like potentially I can be a 329 guy, which pretty comfortably. And that is what it would take to get an Olympic medal in the 15.
A 329 1500 metres, man. You say it, You say it quickly. You reckon you can do it, though?
Yeah. I think the coach had some big faith in me last year to run that time and to break Nick Willis's New Zealand record, but I don't think the opportunity quite presented itself. Or I made a couple of errors in the races that it did. So we learned from those. But our goal is definitely the New Zealand record, either in the 1500 or John Walker's mile.
Has Nick Willis been in touch? Has he? I think we spoke last year, and you said he'd been in touch and said something about taking his record off him. You confident that he'll be pretty happy if and when that happens?
Yeah, he'll be pretty happy. He messaged me after one of the races last year that I was lined up in, and I ran pretty quick, and he was like, "Oh mate, halfway through that race I got prepared to text you congratulations," because it was looking like it was going to be that way.
And Hayden Wild, you've been training alongside Hayden Wild, one of our elite male triathlete. How valuable has that been to you?
Oh, we're such good mates, and that's one of the most valuable things. We train really well together. We push each other in a really healthy way. We don't race each other in training, but we get the most out of each other, whether it be like a long threshold workout, which is kind of more his style, or more speed stuff, which is definitely more my style. But we train together a couple times a week, hopefully as much as possible in the next couple of weeks, because I know he goes back overseas. But it's been amazing to train with him over the summer, and then alongside him, Julian Oakley as well.
All right, well, let's just circle back. So Christchurch this weekend. When will you then head offshore again? And when you do, will you come back before Paris or not?
Yeah, so the mile and the Diamond League in end of May, I will race there in the US. And then I'll be back for probably most of June before I head to Europe. And I'll race Monaco Diamond League, London Diamond League, and then the 2nd, 4th and 6th of August is my races in the Olympics.
Yeah, big year for you, mate. You feel a sense of excitement at the start of what could be a very, very big 2024?
Yeah, definitely excitement, but a lot of pressure. I probably put the most pressure on myself. And I was telling my wife the other day, man, it feels like every single minute and every decision I make in the day is either a gold medal moment or not making the final moment. So a little bit stressful, but it's we're getting there.
Is that right? Is that how you feel about it?
Yeah, that's the hardest part about being a professional athlete, I think, is the everyday stress and struggle that you put on yourself to, be the best you could possibly be. That's where it actually, that's why not many people can do the job that we do. Most people run, if you love running, there's people who work a 40-hour week and run the mileage that I do, but they just don't have that mental stress and pressure that they put on themselves that I do. So
you're second guessing every little decision, thinking, shivers, is this right? Is this the right thing to do right now for getting on that podium in August?
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty stressful, but you kind of got to balance that out with life and be like, okay, is this actually going to take away from me, or is this going to add kind of so-called fill up my tank? And so there's a lot of things that I do in my day-to-day and my week that fill up my tank and may not be the gold medal decision, but I need it to sustain the level of training that I'm doing.
Always love chatting to you, Sam. All the best in Christchurch this weekend and on towards, as I say, what promises to be a massive year for you. I hope you make all the right decisions, mate, and we get the fruits of all that, or you do in particular, later in the year.
Beauty. Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for joining us, Sam. Sam Tanner out of our Christchurch studio, where today he's taking part in the International Track Meet. He is running the 800 metres, and as you heard him say during that, he's keen to give his PB in the 800 a bit of a nudge. So look forward to seeing how he goes. Those results coming through a bit later on this afternoon.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.